Welcome to Doom Scroll Patrol, the show where we doom scroll so you don't have to. Today, we are obviously going to be talking about Charlie Kirk, and it brings up a lot of questions, the state of political violence in the country, but we're not going to be just exclusively talking about Charlie Kirk. We're going to be talking about climate change, we're going to be talking about the future, even AI gets in there as well, so stick around, you're not going to want to miss it. I'm Aaron Hagee McKay.
I'm Harold Moss.
I'm Hannah Snape.
And I'm Sam Perez.
Pour one up for Charlie, everybody.
Woo!
Boo-hoo.
I just want to start with, we are recording this on September 11th at 12:14 p.m. So stuff is probably going to change between the time that we record and by the time that this actually airs. But I just can't
Aaron
help
has
but think
caught up with the idea of time.
Yeah, I've caught up with the idea of time.
However, and we can talk about this separately, I'm less and less convinced by the idea of time myself, but that's another conversation.
I actually heard recently that the future is all a hoax. That it actually, we don't live in, everything is just the past. There's only now and then the past. Anything that's to come is actually just the past.
Time is an illusion.
Got it.
We never forgot it. You know what I think about? Okay, today is actually would have been my father's birthday if he were alive. So just think about in 2001 having the most awkward birthday fondue as like a 14-year-old.
Fondue.
Wow.
That's how you know.
Fondue
I remember that's a very 70s
melt
thing to
steel
go
beams.
fancy.
Yeah, fondue does melt steel beams.
So.
Yeah,
You're right, Hannah.
Anyway,
So were you
fondue
just
melts
like
what?
awkwardly like,
yeah, just putting little breads and
just,
cheese
like,
and being like, "Happy birthday, Dad!"
can't pretend this is a plane.
Oh shit! Oh.
You have to move from talk about a possible accident to talk about something deliberate.
September 11th is a great exemplar of the function of conspiracy theories, which is you get people to live in rabbit holes rather than actually critically analyze what's going on. Because it was used as an excuse to go to war with countries that had nothing to do with it. Millions of people have died, entire region destabilized. Just a lot of the current mechanism of fascism in America was built in response to it. Like, you don't need a conspiracy when all the horrible stuff is on the table. But if you can get people down the rabbit hole, then they spend all their time talking about the melting point of structural steel and whether this person and that person and who did it and whatnot.
Was it Tower
Rather than talking
5
about the
or
fact that
whatever?
everything they did that was a lie and murdered millions of people and tortured and all of this was just, it was in the New York Times. And they were in the New York Times was like, hell yeah. It was all the bad stuff was out in the open.
Yeah, I have a very vivid memory of when I realized that America is kind of a horrible thing.
Was it yesterday?
No, it
when
was.
you guys were in
No, I
America?
was reading articles about Afghanistan, and this was like in middle school, so I was still really young. And it said something about an airstrike that killed like 250,000 innocent civilians in like one go. And
What?
What? No.
What?
No, it wasn't. It was or multiple. I don't know. It was some campaign that killed so many.
Oh, you were being
civilians.
hyperbolic with the 250,000.
Oh yeah, I don't actually know, but
Well,
it
but
was
the-
like a
yeah.
huge number, and I was like, "What? What do you mean? I thought they were just doing good stuff."
I mean,
No, they were. They're good stuff if you love heroin. Then it's real good.
Well, and if you really want to get miserable, read about the Laos bombing campaign that Nixon carried out as part of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, it was
Just
insane.
Just
They
carpet bombed the
bombed them.
country
It was
for really no
It was like 7 years straight, every day, dropping
just no
bombs,
reason
like,
whatsoever. Just and so we could lose and leave, and Pol Pot and Cambodia
yeah, we didn't
and
lose.
all the horror
We
there.
abandoned the war.
Oh, that's right. We just took our bomb balls and went home.
I think we're done here.
I've been thinking about this because, obviously we have the big story of Charlie Kirk getting shot, and I felt bad initially. Initially I was like, oh fuck, I hope that guy dies, and then a little while later I'm like, oh, I don't feel good about having thought that. I don't feel good about myself having that as my initial reaction. Because it's like, yeah, how do we build something better that is built on love, not hate? And his whole fucking thing was being a hateful troll, right? His whole
it was a hate-filled grift.
He was
That's
a hate-filled grift. Like his whole thing was to get you to either hate him or hate the people that he already hated. And either way, you're just walking away with more hate on your soul.
Monsters do have their place.
Here, I wrote a little introduction or whatever. Let me get into it. Okay, so Charlie Kirk, modern day Socrates. He went around asking questions on college campuses to corrupt the youth against the deep state controlled woke ideology. And he was tragically killed yesterday. He leaves behind a wife, 2 children, and several billionaire pedophile owners. So, I find it interesting. Like, I think there's another part of this is just, this is going to distract from the Epstein files or whatever. It is interesting how, and I'm not making a connection here, but it is interesting how Kirk was one of the few voices who actually, for a while, was like not letting go of this Epstein thing. He would back in July, he was devoted an entire podcast to the Epstein story. He urged the president to disclose more information, and then got a huge reaction from Trump, like as much as he could, against somebody who was ostensibly an ally. And then after getting that, then last month he did it again. Now, I'm not saying these two things are related. Charlie Kirk is dead, shot by a government from 200 yards away, who at the time of this recording is still at large. So the FBI was like, initially, we don't know who we don't have anyone. Then Kash Patel came out and said, we have a subject, a gunman in custody. And then the FBI, the real FBI, was like, no, we don't, Kash Patel, director of the FBI.
People of interest we're talking to.
We were just talking to people, you stupid haunted doll that looks like he's constantly seeing dead people, or like constantly looking like the fucking edible just kicked in, you stupid idiot. Anyway.
I mean, I hope it's a matter of imposter syndrome, because it wouldn't be a syndrome. It's just he's a fucking imposter.
Yeah.
They're
no
gonna realize I don't know what I'm
being
doing. It's like
head of the
everybody
FBI.
knows. There's nothing to find out. It's bloody. The terrifying thing is how many people are in any of our national institutions. The real ones are left, because they're just purging left and right. So, I mean, how long is it until they can just decide that they found the shooter? That's a very real possibility.
Yeah, especially when President Trump just immediately went on TV and started blaming the left with no evidence. Again, we have no idea who it is. And he
Also, that was AI, right? Like
it seemed weird, didn't it? It just seemed like
weird. Like his hand would like glitch, like cuts. I don't know.
Really? We can go into this.
He was covering his hand the whole time, so maybe he uncovered it. And
I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole that we've been partly down of.
Yeah, exactly. He's just clearly turning into Emperor Palpatine or whatever it is. So here is the clip.
If he can shoot electricity,
Oh yeah.
That'll actually gain him a little bit of aura.
Yeah. The power. All right, let's watch the clip.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the 2 young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Like the way his mouth, I don't know.
I've
Who
done
knows?
AI generative stuff before I like completely realized that that's one of the most likely first things to wipe us all out. It felt a lot like that, but I think he's clear. It also may be that he's not in great health, and that that was a script, because it does seem like he has a lot to benefit. He's probably the one that's going to get the most benefit out of this, even if he had nothing to do with it.
Why are you so suspicious?
I learned
Just lost
that
his mind.
Charlie Kirk recently put up, this was about last year, Charlie Kirk puts up his Scottsdale, Arizona mansion up on the market for $6.5 million.
Yeah.
The Great Room features a fireplace and Louvre and clerestory windows. The kitchen sports an enormous island, an apron front sink, and a double-door fridge and freezer combo. There are more fireplaces in the den and primary suite, which also includes 2 walk-in closets, a sitting area, a coffee bar, and a luxe bath with a soaking tub. Amenities include a wet bar and wine room, smart home security, and 3-car garage, and a sweet guest casita.
See,
Lot of
Aaron, what you're
room for
missing out
hating
on,
black
what you're missing
people.
out on in this whole love thing, is that hate pays much better.
It like, you don't get Charlie Kirk without social media. Like, the two are kind of the same thing. They're both the social media hate machine, like the algorithmically generated surveillance capitalism that keeps you engaged with hate, that fucks your brain to hating people so it can take away your soul to sell you ads, is the same. Like, he's just sort of the embodiment of that. He kind of realized that this was happening. And, Charlie Kirk is a smart guy. He was obviously a clever dude. Like, you hear him talk, he's obviously a gift of gab kind of person. And he was young enough to realize that this can take me places. I don't know what happened to him to make him lose his soul. I don't know if maybe he did just read Ayn Rand as a kid and just lost it. Or maybe he, just happened to have been like a haunted ventriloquist dummy that like was cursed with life. I don't know. The fact is, he lost his soul somewhere, and even saying shit like that makes me feel like I'm taking part of the dehumanization, and it doesn't make me feel good. But like, yeah, we're back into the dangerous trap of the violence that he justifies.
It is interesting, like, listening to you talk, and I've seen it on other social media, and it is very different, the perspective of like how white people are talking about Charlie Kirk, and then how like black and indigenous people are.
Right.
Because like hearing like what you say, I'm like, wow, we live in very different worlds. Like,
You're like, fuck this guy. He deserves to die.
No, because it's like it's like when there's a guy who is actively trying to harm the communities I'm a part of or love or support that I live in and live with, I don't know. It's just like, it's different. And that's why to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't like, he spent so much time dehumanizing like me and my community and other communities that I am a part of. Like, I don't feel that. I don't feel any of that because, and it's also like that. I don't believe in the, you know, they go low, we go high. That hasn't gotten us anywhere. So, like I said, it is interesting just to hear your perspective. Like, oh, this like made me feel icky. Like when I heard it, I was walking out of Naked Gun, the new Naked Gun movie.
Great movie.
And it happened like 45 minutes down the road from where I'm at. Like, it's not that far. And I just remember reading it because some friends.
Did you have an alibi?
Yeah, I do. I have my Naked Gun. No, it's actually, I'll read a text my buddy sent me because he said, so somebody from Utah shot Charlie Kirk and now he is dead. You live in Utah. You are a pretty good shot and you hate racists. Not saying those are related.
Again, glad you have an alibi.
Yeah, no, I do. But
I mean, look, you're right. He was a fucking horrible person. He said some horrible things. And
Well, this is why like I said, I don't think there's any tears to shed. I mean, there were two high school students, you know.
yeah,
He was
45
part of gun
minutes after
culture.
he got shot, there was a shooting in Colorado.
Colorado,
Yeah,
At a
of
school.
genuinely innocent kids who had nothing to do with doing it. My point of view is, again, individual violence. And I probably even said this last week, and because I say it a lot, I think it's it's been ascribed to different people, but it's, you know, terrorists and assassins are basically like liberals with a gun or a bomb, in the fact that they think that just taking out individuals are going to do it. But very often these kinds of acts of violence, which is why there's so many times end up being false flags, you know, creates greater repression against the very communities that the hateful person was going against. And that, to me, it's a strategic question because, look, these people, you look at, I was talking to someone yesterday. I have to look up the numbers, and I'm sure everyone's still trying to figure it out. But basically, ending childhood vaccines in Florida might end up in 1 million excess deaths. You know,
and he was an anti-vaxxer.
and U.S. Well, I'm not even talking about that. But him also, he supported all this. But U.S. aid getting cut by Doge is potentially in the multiples of millions of deaths in the short term, in terms of particularly the HIV prevention. Like the doubling down on fossil fuels could end up in billions of deaths. Like, the moral calculus for people who are willing to support and carry out genocide on a global level is not so much, oh no, we can't lose our humanity. It's that individualized acts of violence can strengthen the very forces that we're fighting. And it's very different than, and that's, to me, is the line that to me is really important. The idea of self-defense and community and armed resistance is a very different thing than individuals trying to take out people they don't like, right? And the impact, I think, is very different. And I think that that's going to be, we're going to see that. They're going to round up more people. They're going to torture some people. They're going to kill some people. They're going to, and the media will go along with it. And already the fucking Yankees put Charlie Kirk's face up in the stadium in memoriam.
Fuck the Yankees.
I mean,
what a fucking fuck team. They're not even a good fucking team. Fuck those fucking Yankees. Piece of shit team.
The Yankees have trumped up some charge against me, but what they're really after is my money.
Maybe the better way of putting it is like losing your humanity. Not losing your humanity means not fucking liking Charlie Kirk, right? If you have a shred of humanity, you don't fucking like Charlie Kirk, right? It also doesn't mean that you just like, reactively like, well, then, get your gun and shoot some other fucker or whatever. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, you do need to like build resilient systems and community and these sorts of things. But yes, thank you for, I hear you, Sam. Thanks for calling me up, because I'm not here to like justify a guy who, when it comes to gun control, say it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have our the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. Like, and that's not even taken out of context. He was literally discussing school shootings.
And that was right after a school shooting, I believe.
Yeah.
It was
and then his last words were basically justifying, he's still talking about the fucking Second Amendment to his literal dying breath. It was a little bit weird how they're talking about trans folks, like trans shooters, when he got shot. It was a little bit suspicious to me. That felt like too perfect.
Well, that's
there it was.
That if they're going to find if the loyalist FBI that they're trying to build, it's almost the likelihood of them finding a shooter who's trans is very high.
Finding. So like you're saying,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying if they
air quotes finding.
If that's why I say because they are trying to destroy, the FBI has kind of always been fucked, right? I mean, FBI is
don't be besmirching my Scully and Mulder.
But it was also a genuine institution that had some kinds of standards that could be then turned against the civil rights movement, against AIM, the American Indian movement, which was at the time the civil rights movement, the resistance amongst Native folks, gets turned against any oppressed group fighting back. The FBI is that's always been part of its job. But it did have some standards as an organization. They're like everything else. They're trying to destroy those. So it's just does what MAGA wants.
Make America great again.
Charlie Kirk, speaking of the civil rights movement, Charlie Kirk said that Martin Luther King was, quote, awful and not a good person, adding that we made a huge mistake when passing the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Okay, so who exactly is Charlie Kirk? Because I don't know anything about him. All I know is he's a conservative activist. He wasn't a politician.
Thank you. We didn't do our due diligence in setting this up correctly.
Charlie Kirk is a founder of a group called Turning Points USA.
TPUSA?
TPUSA. And he, in college, basically recognized a business opportunity and everyone look at me opportunity, which if I had his face, I might not, but want everyone to look at me.
He was like one of the debate me bros, right?
He was a debate me bro, but what he did was he built campus youth-based organizations to turn out. He was a big part of getting young people mobilized for the Republican Party, and he became a pillar of the MAGA movement. That he brought the young people. Now, he initially was not so hardcore, explicitly replacement theory racist, but as MAGA went that way, that's where the paychecks were. He went right along with it and was going more and more. That's why the Nazis didn't like them, because he wasn't racist enough.
Really?
To start with.
He was racist.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He wasn't racist enough for the Nazis.
He literally said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, but this was him moving. This was him moving more and more as MAGA, as white supremacy became mainstream and the center of the Republican Party. He was a grifter. He was at this point, he got this.
But he's part of the machine too, right? Like
yeah.
he got a lot of votes, and not only that, like he was loyal. Even like on January 6th, he famously bussed people to January 6th, and then had to plead the Fifth Amendment, his right against self-incrimination, instead of answering questions from the January 6th congressional subcommittee. So like he is basically admitting he did a treason or some sort of crime or whatever on January 6th and did not want to self-incriminate himself.
Yeah.
Wow. So just a really good guy all around.
Yeah, and just embracing the white supremacy because that's where the paycheck was. He was.
Oh man, the fact that he went for college kids, that feels kind of evil.
Well, he was a college started kid. When he was a college kid. But
he was 18 at the time when he started it, and then he would just go around college campuses sort of doing these debate me bro things. Like his whole social media feeds were like memes of his big dumb face with this just too small, like his eyes are too close. Anyway, and
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
weird
saying. I
quotes
wouldn't
or
want everyone to
whatever,
look at me.
his weird quotes or whatever, and then just like the whole, Charlie Kirk destroys woke liberal woman who believes that abortion is good. Like that's like
Yeah, that was
half of the fucking
yeah.
YouTube titles out there.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, so you should really learn more about him, Hannah.
I'm okay.
You'll love everything he stands for.
He is great.
That's my main thing is this kind of political violence always ends up the people who pay the price are the most vulnerable communities themselves. That's what happens, and that's not what we want to do.
He was both a tool of fascism
And a tool.
and a tool. But like he wasn't actually in power. I think that's important to say. Like he wasn't.
But he was actually very. I mean, he was.
I mean, he had. I guess he had influence.
Yeah, he had influence.
Considered like
for
an
sure.
adopted son by Donald Trump because he got him votes, and I mean, it was all transactional for Donald Trump. It's like and if you've seen Donald Trump's sons, he probably couldn't tell them apart. I mean, there's some weird phases going on there. But I guess what happens when there's too much cocaine in your sperm. I mean, we don't need to wonder.
Or too much sperm in your cocaine.
God, I miss cocaine.
I actually wanted some climate stuff, and one of the things off Rhode Island, there's a massive windshore project.
You can go off Rhode Island now.
Offshore wind.
4x4.
This is something like a Jeep Grand Cherokee going on off Rhode Island.
I'm Revolution Winds. Thank you. So Revolution Winds, 80% completed. Thousands of union jobs, good jobs. Is set to produce 20% of Rhode Island's electricity needs, which is, for one project, a massive impact, right? Trump canceled it. We know he has personal hatred of windmills because of Scotland off his golf course. He thought they ruined the views. And more significantly, $200 million from fossil fuel interests to try and extend the age of fossil fuels to the point of civilizational collapse by ending renewable energy in America, which is more likely to just mean China owns the future and America becomes fully a backwater country because we don't have the cheap energy. So all sorts of reasons why he's doing it. But I've been hearing the messaging around this, and we are all there. We've been trying to get the right thing about saying, apparently as humans and as a fossil fuel owned country, just the fact that your grandchildren will starve to death if we don't fix this, and you might lose your home and your entire community might be wiped out, and billions of people might eventually be displaced, certainly millions in the shorter term, then hundreds of millions, and then billions, and that the food system might collapse, and that we might just all die from smoke inhalation, and it's already happening now, and superstorms. That apparently isn't enough to motivate
you're just being a catastrophist.
Right.
You're just the weather's fine. 1 degree? You want me to be afraid of 1 degree? 2 degrees?
It's even as it's happening, that's clearly not enough to make us turn to something which, again, as we all know, renewable energy is like, well, what if we're wrong? Well, then we have better, cleaner air. We have cheaper energy. We have more stable grid. Like all the things of moving off fossil fuels, even if climate change wasn't real, would just make for a much better society with better standards of living, with just better health, better everything, right? So apparently that's...
Yeah, what if it's all a hoax and we make a better world for nothing?
Apparently that's not enough
chestnut
to shift it. It is shifting, but it's moving much slower than it needs to. I think that they may be overplaying their hands on so many fronts, but
the Trump administration.
And Trump is just a dumb cudgel with with this one neat trick to mobilize fascists kind of thing he's got going on. That's where his intelligence is about the grift and about
start a fascist revolution with this one weird trick.
Yeah. But I'm feeling a shift in the messaging, which is don't pretend that there's not horrible environmental consequences that are going to make us pay terribly, but that the entire world is now shifting into superdrive, into cheaper, more stable, cleaner energy. And what this means when you stop projects like this, it means we are seeing a 10% spike in energy bills, and it's very tied into not throttling renewable energy, because renewable energy is so much cheaper, so much faster to get online. We are seeing what happened. Texas is the reason Texas grid survived this incredibly hot summer was renewables, because it takes all the peak demand when it's sunny and hot. You get a lot of solar that we are seeing. And also some of the messaging I'm here up in Rhode Island, which is that it's not just the clean energy jobs. Industry wants cheap, stable, reliable energy to do energy intensive work, which are the jobs that MAGA and all of them talk about. That when you disable this renewable energy, you are destroying the modern industrial infrastructure, which is cheap, plentiful, stable energy, right? That you're paying more right now, and you are seeing your prices go up. Like, there are linkages that we can be making that I think that they've overstepped, that I think start to be the ways that certainly in this country, Democrats have been very bad at doing, which is these billionaires, people are getting it. These billionaires are scooping up all the money. These billionaires are also trying to stop you from having cheap energy. And what that means is industry is not going to move to your state. Your grid's going to be less stable and will go down when you most need it. Your energy prices are going to keep on spiking. And yes, by the way, our entire food system will also collapse. And it kind of becomes point number 4, because people, I think, respond much faster to the other ones. It feels like there's a potential turning point here where the connection between the rule of fossil fuels and the same as we're seeing in the rule of private health companies, and we're seeing in all of the oligarchs who are moving towards trillionaire status while the minimum wage and people just can't make it. It feels to me on a gut level like there's actually the potential to break through and start to genuinely undermine the power of the fossil fuel industry. Not a done deal, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a shift in a way that things are actually going to be able to connect to people. I don't know.
It is strange how they're building all these data centers to, make an AGI that would start World War III and end it in the same day, maybe. And that runs on all of this electricity. In order to build these models, it has to go up orders of magnitude, right? The whole strategy is just orders of magnitude, more compute, more data, more power, all this shit. And so in order to do that, you need a whole bunch of electricity and water, et cetera. But then you're cutting off all of the electricity. The electricity that you can build the fastest is the one you're cutting off at the knees for ideological reasons. So you can put in more gas turbines. Well, the ideological reasons of just like having more gas turbines, but you can't build. It's not like gas turbines are like you can't just. There's no like vending a machine of fucking gas turbines just sitting there.
Solar and wind are the fastest new energy to introduce, as well as by far the cheapest and getting cheaper by the minute.
The intermittency thing is, yes, it's a thing. Like,
but we got batteries. It's not
batteries
even that
are
much
not
of a thing
It's
anymore.
not an insurmountable thing. Yes,
well, and we've already surmounted it. We just need to scale it up. It's about scale at this point, not how.
But to get to your point of just like, if all these data centers are gobbling up all this electricity, your bill is going up higher. That also means that it's going to be not very easy. Like, if I'm someone who's trying to build a factory in some place and I'm going to be looking at the cost of electricity, I'm going to be like, I don't know if I can turn a profit if these electricity bills keep rising, right? Depending on what the thing is, because electricity is probably going to be very intensive if I'm building a factory. So they're cutting themselves off at the knees because they're not smart. But yeah, I think that's maybe you're right. Maybe that's a place where the Democrats can find some place to a line of attack and do the whole energy abundance as recline thing.
Even from like a personal level, because my house, we just got solar put on. And like, even without like the industry and systemic impacts it would have, like, my computer doesn't die randomly anymore. And we don't have to pay anything every month. And we get credits, so we never have to pay electricity ever again, even in the winter. Like, it's kind of just dope. So.
Okay, Hannah, maybe that's the messaging. Renewables, energy. It's kind of dope.
It's kind of just dope. It's kind of just dope.
I don't pay shit. It's dope.
Yeah, it's dope.
The fossil fuel industry's days are numbered, and they signed their own death certificate in the 70s when they knew that they were going to kill everything on Earth unless they shifted their model, and decided not to shift their model, although they could have made even greater historic profits had they run the renewable energy one.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen how they could have successfully done that and convinced shareholders or whatever. When it's
all they would have needed.
The value capture.
All you do is take
the value capture of solar is very low because you give people the technology and then the inputs are free. That's the danger of it,
and that's why states don't like it. Is that there is genuinely a revolutionary aspect to the very idea of renewable energy.
Well, it's technology, not fuel. It's technology, not fuel.
And it's decentralized, and suddenly people don't need an army to protect the oil fields in the country that you colonized and the ships that ship it. You don't need that military to do that.
It's literally who controls the spice.
These are spice silos.
Oh, it is good news because New Mexico has expanded a program that basically gives free childcare it's universal childcare for the entire state,
regardless of income, which is how every social program needs to be.
Income.
Yep.
So that's really awesome. It would probably save like $12,000 per child annually with this like initiative. And again, it's one of those things like once it gets going, they're going to find their economy is going to start kicking in because surprise, surprise, people will have money to, spend.
Well, and people will want to move there.
People will want to move there, yeah.
No, I mean, if you gave people universal health care, universal child care,
I'm
good
from New Mexico.
schools,
I want to go back. I mean,
affordable housing. Come on. Yeah, it's good for the economy. It's bad for the people who want to scrape every last penny of wealth in society and shove it in their own bank accounts.
Yeah, I think it's bad if you want to have a struggling underclass that you can constantly keep under your thumb.
Which is, I don't know that I think they're moving on from that. They're moving on from that, and that's why
I don't think it's great to have that for anyone. I don't think even if you are rich, they tend to build guillotines eventually,
and they worry about that. But I think that's why they're moving on from that, and that's why we're moving into eugenics and just let all the poors and the weak die. Right? That's what RFK represents. That is what Peter Thiel, and they think AI is going to replace everybody. So, I mean, they are moving on from the struggling underclass to, do we really need a struggling underclass? Rather than, we have the resources to lift everyone out of poverty into a life of comfort in a way that would make life thriving on Earth for not just humans, but all of our animal and all of our plant brothers and sisters. No, they say, do we really need a struggling underclass? Or could we just wipe them all out by disease?
I think it's interesting how not enough people know that we have the resources to feed, clothe, house, educate, and heal every single human being on the planet, up to over 10 billion people, if we really wanted to, without having, within sustainable ecological limits.
Yep.
You won't be able to, fucking do you won't be able to have fucking private jets and shit like that, but everyone will have a home. Everyone will be able to go to school. Everyone will be able to have healthcare. We just aren't doing it. We're just not doing it.
And not only
Aaron, how will we threaten the poors if there
are no poors?
Together we could have it all.
Yep.
I feel like we need a great healing. I think we need to have people go on their own journey of healing themselves with their own relationship with themselves, to their ancestors, to the earth, and and to each other. And from there, we can also heal the earth itself. And I think maybe that's one of those things that actually has to happen before we can do the.
So you're saying we should start dumping psilocybin in the water supply?
It's better than fucking dumping forever chemicals.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting because that is what needs to happen, but it's this idea of people connecting back to the land. It's at least in American society, it just I don't see it happening anytime soon.
No.
And it's sad because it's guys, it's right there. Just
land.
it's you just be one with like the environment and like understand it and respect it and like embracing the cultures you come from and like reconnecting to these roots, but like it just it just won't.
I'm sorry, I'm English. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Well, healing requires accountability, and
I
most
think-
of the most damaged people who do the most damage are the least equipped to do that. So
I think it's interesting you put it to like the whole I'm English or whatever. And yeah, the English have a lot of blood on their hands historically speaking, but of course there's like you go back far enough, like they were colonized too, right? The Roman
that's
Empire
what really helped
colonized them.
me. That's what really helped me. I just hate the Romans now.
But yeah.
Because I had a tribe at one point, and then they were colonized.
I'm not trying to like, rush to the margins or whatever, but I think there's someone in your history that didn't want to be colonized.
And there were also, I mean, England also has a strong revolutionary. I mean, it's actually where I became an organized Marxist was in the UK. It's got a strong history of anti-imperialist revolutionaries, very solid. So I say that there are English roots of resistance, rebellion, revolution, and resistance that did I say resistance twice? Resistance is so good you should do it twice. That to tap into.
Right. They were integral to the slave trade, but at the same time, they also ended it. So
but also at the same time, you had dock workers who refused to load slave goods off the ships,
right,
in Manchester and whatnot. So there's absolutely a tradition of rebellion and going back even earlier to a colonized people. Yep.
So I guess we can end on is go outside and enjoy the air and
touch grass.
This is a touch grass ending.
Touch grass and just like, I don't know, think about all the good in your life and also, I don't know, think about all the wrongs you've done and just how can you make amends for that?
Yeah.
Because we're all
forgive
guilty.
Yourself and others.
Yeah, and also give yourself grace. Thank you for listening to Doom Scroll Patrol. Like, comment, and subscribe to Undeniable Network for more content and to support our work.